Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. I'm Cliff Kelly. This is America's Heroes Group, continuing engaging, empowering, connecting, and transforming veterans by being the hub to Veterans Affairs, information, resources, and referrals. And of course, as usual, we have our wonderful roundtable here, and we also have a guest, which I will introduce in just a second. But I want to remind you, you can call us 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. We are joined now in our studio with Mr. John Steciw. Mr. Steciw is a military veteran, and he is doing a great job. He's going to tell us what he does and how he is helping veterans. And first, we want to welcome him here. And how are you, sir?
I'm very well,
Great,
thank you.
Great, and thank you so much for coming.
Well, it's a pleasure, and it's an honor to have been invited. Thank you.
Great. He's the interim superintendent of Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County, Veterans Helping Veterans. Before we get into what you're doing, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well,
In the military background.
yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
In the military, I was in the Army in 1967 and 1968, and I wound up being a drill sergeant in basic training. So, I had one of those Smokey Bear hats.
Yeah. Proud grizzly bears.
And pushing troops around for a couple of years. And that was during the big, the build-up during the Vietnam War. So even though I was a kid myself, you had to take the job seriously because you know that where all these people were going to be going.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and you were where?
Fort Ord, California.
Okay.
I took my basic at Fort Campbell, and then.
Were you in the airborne?
No, I was infantry.
Okay,
my
I know the
infantry.
Campbell. Yeah, okay.
But the Campbell was the 101st.
101st, yeah.
But no, I got stationed at Fort Ord in infantry, for infantry training, and then that's where they asked me if I'd be interested in signing up for this drill sergeant program that was just starting at the time. So we were a little bit like pioneers of that whole thing, because the whole program was only in place for a couple, 2-3 years. So it was quite an experience. I mean, I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot from it. I grew up real fast and just learned a lot. So.
Did you end up shipping out, or did you?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
Because when
they needed to keep you trained, they have to keep. Yeah.
And then when my term was up, obviously they were trying to get you to stay.
Oh yeah. Let me just say a few things because I was of course I had basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, but when I came back from Vietnam, I joined a unit in Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I pushed troops for 6 months, and some of the guys went to drill sergeant school, and drill sergeant school was no joke.
No,
it was no joke. And then you had to lead the troops, and you got your Smokey Bear hat. But the regular platoon, I was just a platoon sergeant, but I had to. So my drill sergeant would have me walk them to the rifle range in the morning and put them in bed at night. But being a drill sergeant is something important. That transition of taking that civilian mind and turning it into a military mind while they're in basic training, and it's a big cycle after cycle for sergeant. It's extraordinary,
especially during a wartime scenario.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, sure. It was you were young, but you had to take the job seriously. You couldn't.
No.
Some people looked at it as, well, you were a drill sergeant, so you didn't have to go to Nam. That wasn't the point.
Yeah,
it was just that that a lot of these guys were going, and boy, whatever you did, you had to make
prepare them.
Yeah. You had to prepare them the best you can.
Mr. Steciw, you mentioned that there was a change before in the drill sergeants, the way drill sergeants were preparing recruits. What changed between in that time frame?
What happened was the Army adopted the Marine Corps program of DIs, drill instructors. So they studied how they do it, and that's what the program that the Army came up with, which was you come in for that first 8 weeks, and everybody learns how to be an infantryman. You know, everybody learns how to handle a weapon, how to, you know, orders, all of that, everybody. Prior to that, it wasn't necessarily always like that. Sometimes units would get together, some of the people that were in charge of those units would train them, and then they'd be going off together. But this was, you know, everybody came in, and then they were assigned, you know, to different military
AIT.
AIT. The MOS is different.
the
MOS is
Second eight.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
second eight. Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And but that was right there, and they started that program. Like I said, I didn't even realize it at the time. Just about 2-3 years before I became, you know, a drill sergeant, and you know, and there weren't a whole lot of people because everybody was being drafted. There was so many people being drafted and joining at the time that I mean, when I got out of drill sergeant school, I was a platoon sergeant. You know, I had an assistant, and that was it. When I was in basic, and before that, you know, we had 3 drill sergeants per platoon. You know, and this time, you know, we're down to 1, and you know, just
That's a lot of work.
You know, people
24/7.
People don't realize, because I went in the Army 50 years ago this month at Fort Underwood, and I couldn't have had a tougher drill sergeant. This guy was a maniac. And I mean, some people talk about, Marine, but
No.
Army was no joke.
No.
Army.
And the fact that he was a maniac may
this
be the
guy
reason you're
was
here with us today.
But that's
he
a
was
God's honest
tough.
truth.
There's nobody tougher I've ever seen in my life in the military than my drill sergeant in basic training.
Well, tell us, sir, you're the interim superintendent of Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook County. Tell us about that.
Well, the Veterans Assistance Commission is programs that was set up through Illinois statutes. Each county in the state, you know, has the right to set up a VAC, a Veterans Assistance Commission, and I think presently there are 41 counties that have a VAC in this state. Some of them, you know, have larger areas. You know, when you get to southern Illinois, Cook County is the largest. I mean, as far as, you know, the number of veterans that we try to service. You know, we're definitely the largest, and you know, I would
Because we have 102 counties in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
102 counties.
right,
yeah.
right. And like I said, but only 41 of the, you know,
Right.
because a lot of them
Yeah.
in the south, you know, I mean, the areas.
Some
are
of
real
those
large.
counties, have about 10 people in
Right.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's right.
And we have, you know, probably close to 270,000 veterans in Cook County, which is it's a staggering number when you think about it. And what we're tasked with, our mission is to help, you know, a veteran when he or she runs across, you know, a hard time. You know, they could be indigent to begin with, they can be homeless to begin with, they can be doing well and then all of a sudden lose a job or have some kind of a tragedy befall them or the family. They can come to us, and we'll try to give them a little bit of a helping hand. We can only do it one time, but we give them a helping hand. They come in, you know, we can help them pay their rent. You know, if they're getting close to being evicted, we can help them pay their electric and gas bills or water bills if they're being threatened, you know, with shut-off. We can help them with food, and we can help them with transportation. You know, we purchase a lot of the CTA one-day passes, you know, 7-day passes, the PACE cards also, and, you know, we can hand those out. You know, so they come in, you know, they need to be honorably discharged, veterans. That's the most important thing, honorably discharged. There are certain guidelines, there's certain documentation or paperwork that they need to bring in, DD-214s, things like that.
Sure.
But once they have all that in place, you know, we interview them, and we try to help them that same day. It's not like, oh, you know, we'll get back to you in a week or 2 or 3. We'll sit there. If everything pans out, we'll write them a check that day,
that's great.
And they're on their way.
Now, John, do they have to show that they have a certain economic
Yes.
difficulty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I had to ask you that because just yesterday I got my gas bill. So,
Yeah.
But you don't. But only honorable, not medical, not bad conduct,
Well, you know,
nothing.
sometimes,
Because you have different levels.
yeah,
of,
sometimes under
discharge.
honorable, if it was for medical reasons, you know, we'll look at it. I mean, you know, if we're going to make a mistake, we're going to try to make a mistake on the side of the vet.
Right.
You know, we're not, you know, hardcore and trying to get
Sure.
the heck out of here. You know, we're trying to help.
Right.
But you know, primarily, you know, honorably discharged. They have to have been in service for a certain amount of time, 6 months of active duty, or recently we just put in reserve units, because for the longest time they didn't. If you were in the reserves, they didn't count that unless
What
you
about
were
National
active.
Guard?
Well, or National Guard. But if they serve 6 years, honorably, where they made
Yeah,
they
in the
made the
reserve.
meetings
Right.
and the 2 weeks of training and stuff like that, we look at it and we look at it favorably.
That's
And
good.
say we'll do that.
Let's take a caller. We're pleased to have Lee is on with. Hi, Lee. You're on WVON.
How you doing? How you doing, Cliff? And
Good,
you and
good.
your guest.
Uh-huh.
What I wanted to ask the question is, how is it that the president and some people in Congress, they can get their checks, but the poor people that's working from paycheck to paycheck, they don't get their checks? And not only that, the food stamp program. Don't the man know that if you stop having the people, because there's a lot of people have food stamps and they go to these stores and they buy food, okay? And if you don't have your food stamps, you won't be back. So the economy is going to be, it's already going down. It's going to go down even further without the help of those food stamps. That man is trying to starve people, starve babies, and he's trying to kill people. Something is wrong with him, truly.
Well, I agree with that. Thank you, Lee. My understanding, and you may know more about this, but my understanding is that the food stamp program, Rochelle, is still going through.
It's going through,
Yeah.
but they said that it may stop
Yeah.
soon.
If they don't
So
continue.
that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because they're basically one of those entities that are under the umbrella of the government.
But we can certainly, what Lee is asking also, John, your organization may have to help some of these people, right?
If that's
if
possible,
this-
sure.
yeah,
sure.
mhm,
And for this year we're set. We already, got our allotment, for the year from the county. So we're not going to have any.
But what happens? You
Problems
said
with
41 counties.
Yeah.
What about the other counties?
Well,
There's another
money
60,
from the
another
county.
61 counties.
that don't have a VAC.
You said that don't have.
You
one.
said there are 41 counties with it.
40. You
Yeah.
do.
Right.
There's another.
But do you have
60
to be in the county to get the help?
Yes.
You do
Yes,
have to
yeah.
be? Okay.
So somebody from DuPage can't come here.
I got you.
I see.
And
So
So
what?
who funds this? Each county or
the county funds
the county?
it. Yes.
Each county funds
Right.
it. Okay.
And one
So
good
what you're
I see.
asking is
Yeah.
if you're in the wrong county,
County.
you're SOL. You know what that means?
Right,
yeah.
And one good thing about
Yeah.
the program, even though he said it's one time, it's a one time for each one of those instances.
Right.
So it's not like if you come and get assistance for your rent that you can't come back for your lights. So each one of those
I see.
entities are one time.
I
And that
see.
makes it good,
That's
you know,
good.
for a
Yeah.
person to have
Sure.
an incident on this one, then later on, this happens. So that's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah.
And
So, John, tell
Yes.
us how much business does I imagine your office does quite a bit.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Right.
We can see on average from a dozen to 30 people a day.
Wow.
Wow. And how big is your office? How many people you have staffed in your office?
4.
Okay.
3 full-time, myself plus a part-timer.
Wow.
And tell us how people would reach you.
Well, they can either stop by, to the office because we're open every day except Wednesday. We're there on Wednesday, but we need that day for get caught up on paperwork and what have you. But we see veterans on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our address is 1100 South Hamilton in Chicago, 60612, and we're in the Juvenile Detention Center.
Yeah.
Our offices are on the lower level, on the lower concourse, but we're right there by Jesse Brown.
Sure.
Next to it is the VA benefits office,
Right,
and then
so
we're
you-
just down the street. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah,
you have
that's
a phone
great.
number
We
for them?
may-
You have a phone number for your office?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's 312-433-6010. And if they call and nobody answers because we're running around with, with veterans, then we will get back to them that same day. We make every
great.
effort to
That's
call
great.
back and try to do whatever we can.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday?
Yes.
And address again, 1100 South Hamilton. And the phone number is 312-433-6010.
Yes, sir.
That's great. That's great.
And
That's,
also there are
yeah.
burial benefits too that they pay.
Oh, great.
So there are just a few more things that, they can expect.
Burial?
And then, yes, on the burial as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's
the way,
great.
you know, I had mentioned transportation. The way
Oh,
that-
yeah, right.
Yeah, the way the transportation works is they may be working with a social worker at Jesse Brown or at Hines, wherever it may be, and they may have a need for coming into the medical facility on a regular basis because they're getting a certain kind of a treatment. So the social worker will give them a referral. We'll get, you know, they fax it to us. He or she will come over, and you know, we'll give them a 1 day or 2 day pass or a 7 day pass, and we can do that for them for up to 30 weeks, depending on the program. So it's you know, or if they're going to school, we can help them with that. You know, or job searches, or you know, starting a job and things like that. So we can, and that's ongoing for up to 30 weeks.
That's for transportation to
Right.
to if you go into school or you
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Or you need to get back to the hospital,
yeah.
on a regular basis. You know, so you know, we can help with that.
And we also still cover the uniforms if they start a new job and they need uniforms, boots, clothing like that. We still also offer that assistance.
I think, is it disabled veterans, do they get some special pass for transportation? I heard they had,
That's if they're disabled, they can get the card. Is
if
that
you have
what you're talking
if
about?
you're declared a, 50%
Yes.
disabled, service disabled vet,
Yes.
I think they have some kind of
Yeah. In the-
CTA. And all
In the
Yes.
city of
Right.
Chicago,
Yeah.
if you're rated 10% or more, they'll give you a pass.
Okay.
You
You get a
get a
pass
pass.
that you can use anytime, all
Yeah.
the time? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So a lot of times when people come in and we know that they're going to be needing it all
Right.
the time, we certainly
Tell 'em.
mention that to them
So
also.
they can just
if
get-
they're old
it's
enough,
permanent, right,
If
yeah.
they're old enough, they can get seniors right free from the state.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
right.
you know, we try to steer them in whatever direction we can.
Right.
Good.
And then you also have intervoices still coming to the office.
Yes,
now.
once a
They
week.
do the assistance for employment as well.
Right.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we have a number of outside sources that'll come in, you know, on a regular basis and sit for half a day or a day. And you know, if some of the veterans need something more than what we can do, we'll send them to them and see if they can help them out. So. Trying to, you know, any way we can. We can't do everything, obviously.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
you do a lot. That's
whatever
great.
we can,
Yeah, yeah.
we do.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm sure there are things that you're doing we are asking you about, John. Is there something else we need to know? And by the way, let me mention again, 773-591-1690 is our number if you'd like to ask him a question. Is there something else that we need to know that we're not asking you about? You sound like you do a whole lot of things.
Well, we
which
do a
is
whole
great.
lot of things. You know, if we can get the word out to more people, you know, because a lot of times people come in and say, "Gee, I didn't know this was here."
You guys have a website or?
No,
Okay.
it's something we're going to be working on, and you know, hopefully, I'm going to try to get in conjunction with the county, you know, to have that, and then you know, we'll do you know, try to have a website set up that way.
All right.
But that's, you know, one of the things. You know, there's still a lot of things that
Oh,
we
sure.
need. We need to do it. So,
Right.
But also,
Work
I
in
see
progress.
I see here you're with the American Legion.
yes, sir.
And so you are the elected post commander for 5 years. And what about the American Legion? Do they offer?
But they have a
some
lot
these-
of things,
different
programs. Yeah, they have a
programs,
lot
okay.
of programs. I mean, it's.
I mean, since you're here, you're a wealth of information for us for American
Yeah.
Legion also,
And I think
so
I can
people can
also
join
offer
that.
this is that one thing you need to know is that this is not the county.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Veterans Assistance
Right.
Commission, even though we're funded by Cook County.
see.
It is a
It's not-
not-for-profit entity, which actually
not a
is
governmental,
standalone.
No.
Correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
We have to report our financials to the county, so you know they can see what we're
Okay.
doing with
Yeah.
the money that they give us. But that's the
I
extent of
see.
it.
I see.
They don't have anything to do with our hiring, firing, who we take in, how we process people. They've got
Okay.
nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another side of that where veterans organizations are invited to come to that part of the county, to be a part of it if they have an
Yeah.
organization like the VFW, American Legion, those who are serving veterans in the community. They're welcome to come to the table and be a part of that. There's
see.
a membership fee, it's a very small fee, $20, and then they have an alternate and a delegate basically that comes to the meetings, and also they have voting rights on, you know, things that are pertaining to what we do in the office, even though we have a standard policy of the things that we do offer for our veterans. But there are other things that we do as well from the outside. We have an annual event called the Corned Beef and Cabbage, and that actually is something that's on the
Sounds Irish to me.
not-for-profit side also.
Everybody's Irish.
Everybody's Irish. Everybody's Irish on that day. That's for
Exactly.
sure.
Corned beef and
Right.
cabbage. That's funny.
Everybody
And I
think
think one
lassie.
time they threw in chicken.
But yeah,
Yeah, they had
they always
chicken
throw in
with
some
that.
chicken.
All right,
Corned beef and
okay.
cabbage.
Was that Martin Luther King Day? What? I don't know.
No, actually is on St. Patrick's Day.
Is it St. Patrick's Day
Yeah,
too?
that's
Yeah.
funny.
But what happens? I mean, I'm concerned about veterans, and this show goes out throughout the world. But what happens to the other veterans in this state, in other counties? I mean, is it just that the county boards in those counties don't fund it? Is that
They don't have the need.
They don't have the need, I
because
see.
of the population, or they may not have as large a
I
veteran
see.
population, or just population in general.
Sure.
They're a little bit more rural areas,
Yeah.
so they're taken up by other people. Now, you were mentioning about something that we do that a lot of other people don't do. That's our primary objective, is to help with these bills. A lot of the other outlying, the DuPage and DeKalb counties and all the other ones, they do a lot of veteran service work. People come in and they help them fill out paperwork for benefits.
I see.
They do that kind of.
I
We
see.
don't do that because we have,
Right.
the regional office right across the street. Sure. And our demographic is different. We have a lot more, indigent. We have a lot more people that need help, that genuinely need help. Whereas some of the other suburbs, outlying counties, actually, they're a little bit more well-to-do.
Right, sure, I understand.
I remember talking to one gentleman one time, and he goes, "Wow, last year we had 3 homeless people in our county." Honestly,
Well, that's what when Ernesto mentioned
I
these
think
other
I see
counties.
some out the window here. Yeah, I think I see
Yeah,
more
when
than
you
that.
mention other counties,
right.
I say, yeah, some of these counties have 10 people in them.
Right.
Well, and this is a bigger
Yeah,
county, but
Calhoun
it's a
County.
well-
Well, 500 horses,
Yeah.
Right, there you go. There you
Right.
go.
Just
So it's just-
But
corn,
those
yeah,
needs.
ears of corn and soybean. Huh?
Yeah.
That's about it.
I
No,
just
that's
nodded
great,
and said,
though.
"Good luck with
that you're able to
that."
do that. And these counties do certain, for instance, our county recorder of deeds, she's got a program
Yeah.
Yeah.
relative to
Does she?
vet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right, okay,
for,
yeah.
for veterans, and so
Yeah, there's no one program,
Right,
that
exactly.
can handle everything.
yeah, it's a
But I
matter
mean,
that so many people don't know about them.
Right,
That's why.
but if you know
this
about
is
all
why
of
we
them-
do what we do here. Try to make
which
sure.
I think is wonderful.
Great, yeah.
And he sends
Really,
a
really
staff
nice.
member out to those fairs as well. When they have a fair.
Your group,
in the
yeah,
one-
sure.
Yeah, they go out.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
the affairs or fairs?
The fairs.
Fairs, like county fairs?
Like if they have say if the American Legion is having a fair for employment.
I see.
Rochelle
So then
is
they
the
would
head of
show
the
up there.
National Women's Veterans United. Ernesto, we don't talk about affairs.
That is
Now with this Me Too movement, no, be careful here.
That's right.
This has been great. Thank you so much, John.